In today's talk, I'm going to be talking about the interest seesaw. And ladies and gentlemen, the interest seesaw is one of the most powerful tools that you can use as a member of a team, as a leader of a team, as a member of a family. In fact, anywhere in life. This particular tool has changed my life. And I have used this tool in COVID-19 to keep our business going, to keep our relationships going, and make sure that we survive. But before I get too far into the tool, let me just talk about two words. The first word that I want to talk about is interest. So when we talk about interest, what are we talking about? Well, interest means I want to participate in something. I want to be part of it. I have an interest, I have a share, I have a hand in it. I want to be involved. That's what interest means. Also, you might think I have an interest in a business, I have an interest in a subject, I have an interest in a person, I have an interest in a hobby. So that's what interest is. It's a need to be part of, to participate. The second word is actually, it has two parts to it. Seesaw. Who's ever been on a seesaw? So you've seen, and when I was a child, there would be at a park, there would be a pole in the ground and there would be a plank on it. And you would climb on this side, you would push up, and then the other person that you were working with would push up on the other side. And so you would go up and down. Now today, what I'm going to be talking about is I'm going to be talking about a really powerful tool called the interest seesaw. So this is something that gets in the way of your career. If you want to make more money, if you want another job, if you want to influence people in a more effective way, what you need to do is you need to use the interest seesaw. So there are two parts to the seesaw. You'll see on the card over here, there's a column on this side, and we're going to say that's you on the left-hand side. Then there's a column on the right-hand side. That's the other person or people that you're talking to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with a story. About 15 years ago, one of my friends, his name is Wolfgang Volkinger. We called him Wolfie. He came to me and he said, "Steve, would you teach me how to sell? I really want to know how to sell." And Wolfie is one of these guys who builds websites. He's a very, very technical guy. In fact, I said, "Wolfie, if you look at the top of your head, you have a propeller socket. And to be honest with you, you are, on the scale of technical people, the most technical person I've ever met. And I'm not sure that I could teach you to sell." And he looked quite dejected and flat and so on. And I said to him, "I'm kidding, I'm going to teach you to sell. But I'm going to do something else. I'm going to help you. And I'm going to invest in your business. And I'm going to build the sales team. And then you can buy the business back. And that's how you're going to pay me." And he said, "Okay." And so there I was, and I had to now start helping sell websites, something that I knew very little about. So here's the first thing that I want to tell you. If you're going to want to be interested in something, go and study it. Do not talk in a meeting about something that you haven't studied. Or do not try and talk with authority about something that you haven't studied. What you need to do is go and study up on it. Prepare for the meeting. Get all the information. Check all the information. Get competent in it. Okay. So this is exactly what I did with the website business. I went and studied how websites were built, the different languages, the approaches, the applications. And then what I did was I started phoning customers. And I remember looking up one of our customers that I hadn't seen for many years, nearly 10 years. A wonderful old man called Victor, who sells Persian carpets. And I'm a huge fan of Persian carpets. And I phoned him up and I said, "Victor, I notice you don't have a website." Now Victor at this stage was about 80 years old. If you looked at him in the shade, if you brought him out into the sun, he was probably nearing 100. And he said to me, "Steve, we use the newspaper. We use pamphlets. We're on radio. We don't use the interweb." And I said, "Victor, that's exactly why I want to talk to you." Now Victor had a very interesting way of working at that time. When he had finished talking, he simply hung up the phone. I wasn't fazed, I knew that about him. But here we are at the beginning of the interest seesaw. Here I am talking to Victor about a website for his business. And here he is in a state which we call no reality. He has no understanding. He has no awareness. It's completely unreal what I'm talking to him about. What do? I stay at interest. I phone him back the next day and I say, Victor, I've looked at all of your opposition, all the main players, and you know what? They're all on the internet. He listens to me. He says, we don't use the interweb. I said to him, I completely understand. Now, what's interesting, if you Google Persian carpets, Oriental rugs, you will see there are 3.9 million pages that come up. You should consider it. He said to me, I've told you, I don't want this. I don't have time. I don't have budget. And by the way, those two things come up over and over again. The person says they don't have time, they don't have resources, they don't have budget. Stay calm. Stay at interest. And what does Victor do? He hangs up on me. What do I do then? I send him an email. And suddenly I realize I can't do that because this man doesn't actually use email. So I send him a fax. We still actually have a fax somewhere in our offices. And I say, dear Victor, do you know that by 2018, we will have such and such a percentage of the world using mobile devices? Do you know by 2012 that there will be more people in the world who are connected to the internet than have toothbrushes? Do you know by 2010 there will be more people in the world who have access to the internet than to flushing toilets? Frightening. Still the case. The numbers have changed, but people have got internet access everywhere. And I send him this fax. I phone him back, and he says to me, now in a different state, he's no longer in no reality. He's no longer in rejected reality. He has come down to insisted reality. He says to me, how dare you? You're ruining the friendship. Stop calling me. And he hangs up. Am I fazed? No. I stay at interest. I send him another fax, and I share with him that I have registered his company domain. And I've said to him, next time he sees me, he can buy me lunch. He doesn't have to pay me for it. Off I go off to Dubai, I come back, and as I come back into the office, I see there's a note from him in my tray. He sent me back a fax. I phone him back and I say, how are you? We chat about my trip. I stay in interest about the trip. And then I say, let's talk about your website. He says, could we do this next year? I don't have budget right now. Could we do this in our next financial year? I keep talking to him. I share what I've seen in the Middle East. I share how I see companies are using the websites and the different tools in Istanbul, in Dubai, in Abu Dhabi. He says, I really like it, but can we do it later? I say, Victor, no problem. Let me send you another fax with some of the research. He hangs up on me. I send him the fax. 2 days later, he comes back to me and he invites me to go to the Grace Hotel in Rosebank in Johannesburg, which is close to where his offices are. And I walk into the hotel and I say, I'm here to see Victor. And they say he's upstairs in the boardroom, which is an unusual place. I walk into the boardroom and there are 28 people in the room. And he says, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Stephen Blades. He is our interweb manager. What did we discover? The trick, ladies and gentlemen, this is like peeling an onion. This is like taking off layer by layer by layer. We need to stay interested. Right now, my advice to you is in lockdown, is in COVID-19. If you want your business, if you want the company that you're part of to survive, you need to change your view. You need to get up and be at interest. And if you're feeling uncomfortable, just deal with that and push through It's like peeling the layers off the onion. You need to get out of your comfort zone and stay at interest. The people who are interested get the next job, get the next assignment. So, what do we see over here? It's a seesaw. I need to stay at interest. Unfortunately, this is what happens to lots of people. The first little bit of rejection, the first little bit of kickback, the first little bit of pushback, the first moment when somebody doesn't get their way, or they don't get the emotion, or they don't get the feeling, or they don't get the support that they think they need, what do? They crash down. They go from interest and they go, well, maybe. You watch them bend their shoulders. They start talking about if it's possible. They get a bit more resistance, and now they get offended. Now they want to justify themselves. Now they want to say, but you said this, you didn't tell me this. And before they know it, they're walking away and going, I don't even know why I want to talk to you. And they say, I have no reality, I'm giving up. And what has happened? Somebody else just took your job. Stay at interest.